So when it comes to word of mouth and talking about the balance of marketing, which is also interesting, we're going to talk about in another episode, but Tesla doesn't do any marketing because they focus all of their efforts on providing the best product. And then they believe people will do the marketing for them. So that being said, how and what we're talking about with Genesis and the fact that Phil Knight built a brand that is based in soul and a feeling and power and authority. How do you lead with meaning while also building momentum? Because you have to get the business going. So, yes, you can have this all the meaning in the world, but people have to know that you exist and they have to believe in that meaning. So, how do you do that? Like you
Just start with one. Start with one person. Start with one person, one client, and you pour into them everything that you have and everything that you want to do. And that one person will tell two friends. And then those two friends come in and you treat those two friends like you treated that one person. You pour everything into them, you take care of them, you do everything that you possibly could to help them solve their problem. And you solve their problem. And then those two people will tell two other people, and there are four people come in, and you do the same thing. So once you're starting with meaning and you have meaning and you know what your core values and what your business stands for, then you just go and you start with one. Start with one, and it will inevitably grow if you're providing a great service with meaning. And people, that doesn't only mean the clientele will come, the patients will come, they'll tell other people, but your team will come. There will be people who want to join your team. There'll be people who message you on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook saying, "Hey, I want to work for you," or "Can I come work for you?" or "Can I have an interview with your company?" which I get a lot of times now. And I'm truly blessed to be able to have that because of the momentum we've built. But that's been now 6 years doing this. So you start with one. That's how you do it.
Another aspect of success that Phil Knight experienced was protecting his partners and fighting for his dream and being loyal to the point where he almost lost everything. But when banks said no and when the cash was gone, he focused on being loyal to his partners and keeping control of his vision. And so where have you experienced this? Cuz it was really difficult for him, but it also made him unstoppable. And I know you have experienced where you have brought other people on and things sometimes haven't gone the way that you planned and you've had those ups and downs, but you've stayed loyal to the vision and you've protected the people that have been with you along the way. So can you talk about that a little
And
bit?
yeah, so Phil Knight's loyalty almost killed him, but it also made him absolutely unstoppable. And been the same thing in my businesses where Brent and I have brought on people as partners in some locations or in some instances. And the difficult thing with partners in general is after a while, sometimes partners might feel like they're doing all the work because they don't sit next to you every single day knowing what you do. Brent and I are on the phone with each other, figuring things out at least 6 hours a day. That's almost a minimum. Even after we record half a day in podcast, we'll probably be on the phone from 1 p.m. until I have to leave for my flight in Vegas tonight at 9. Probably be on the phone from 1 until like 6, and then I'll have an hour to spend with my babies, and then I'll have to leave for the airport. But every single day, that's a thing. Every single day, we're having multiple meetings. Every single day, we're trying to figure out, okay, we're having difficulty here, here, and here. What do we need to do to fix these things? What are we working on to get there? And so sometimes you build partners up and you bring them on, and they are not the ones they're the ones who start to get jaded on the culture. They're the ones who start to get jaded about the belief in the mission, and sometimes it might shake you. It might think that, "Hey, your mission or your vision isn't what it's supposed to be," and you have to go through this existential inner crisis of, "Okay, do I wanna go through this or do I not wanna go through this? What's the direction I wanna go in or not?" And really, in the end, you have to say, "Okay, well, my mission and vision of what I'm trying to build is this way." And I get to do life, yes, but I get to do it with people that I wanna do it with. I don't have to do it with you or you or you anymore. I don't have to, and you don't have to. Listening, you don't have to bring people along, you don't want to. Now, at the beginning, if they're a part of it and great and they see your mission, they vision and they pour into that, awesome. But if they don't wanna do that anymore after a while, that's on them. That's not on you. You can continue to drive your mission. There will be plenty of people that fall off. There will the what got you here will not get you there. The people who were there at the beginning will be different than the people in the middle, will be different than people at the end, and you will have a handful of people, and at Genesis, we're blessed to have more than a handful of people that have been with us for more than half a decade, over a decade, etc. But they had a lot of team members, and we've had a lot of team members that aren't them that have left, probably at this point, over 15 years, hundreds of people who have kind of gone through Genesis. And we hope that if they've gone through Genesis, then they become better at who they are as a person, as a clinician, as a salesperson, as a front desk person, as a customer service person, etc. That's the whole goal because that's part of the culture. That's part of the dream. That's part of what you're creating. And that's really your hill to die on. Like, you want to have, as much loyalty on your team as possible, while at the same time, don't expect them to always see your vision as for what it is. Don't expect them to always believe in your vision for what it is, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you need to change your vision or your mission or anything. It just means you need to get the next person who is gonna be, who's gonna believe in your mission and vision at this level to go to the next level. And so, Phil did a great job of proving out the fact that he had faith in his people and he would pour into his people as much as possible. And Brent and I do the same thing. We have faith in our people, we pour into our people as much as possible. But just like Nike, Genesis has had people that don't want to be a part of the mission, vision, values anymore and they leave, and that's okay. And so did Nike. That's just okay. The original Nike, investors, not all of them are around anymore. Just like the original Apple investors. Just like I saw a video of Warren Buffett showing the first, was it like 9 or 10 investors into his company, and it was like his mom, his dad, his uncle, his aunt, his like brother. It was all family members, and he took that money from his first business and his investors. He took that money and put it into Berkshire Hathaway, and some of his family members, business partners, or whatever. They just took their money and went a different direction because they didn't see his mission and vision. But that being said, he said in the video, like, if they would have kept just their first equity in, they'd each be worth over $500 million. And it was just like, okay, well, I mean, that's what people are going to have to see or deal with in their lives. Sometimes they're gonna have uh, uh, businesses that they're a part of that they don't want to be a part of anymore, and that business could grow to be an Apple. It could grow to be a Nike. It could grow to be any of these. And that being said, Knight proved that, like, his faith in people was really what helped multiply him as fast as possible. He got really good people on the boat, really good people on the bus, whatever, boat, bus, whatever, and he believed in those people, put faith in those people, and those people believed in his mission and where Nike was going, and it turned into that. It became that because of those people.
Phil Knight made Nike a brand where obstacles were okay.
Mhm.
When I first became aware of Nike, I wasn't super trendy. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, and my mom wasn't into like fashion or brands or anything like that. And so like it wasn't until I was a bit older that I even, like, remember getting my first Nike item, and I don't remember if it was shoes or clothes or what, but I did play sports all through school, so I remember the kids that had Nike, and they were the wealthy kids, like, they were the kids that, like, they were the cool kids.
Yeah.
Um, I was cool, I fit into a lot of groups, so I wasn't, like, the cool kid, you know? And so I think about wearing Nike and I don't it's not like I'm gonna wear that and just smooth sail. Like, you put Nike on, you feel like you're gonna work hard. I'm gonna work harder with these running shoes on than if I had a different brand on. And the obstacles were the brand. So that's part of what makes a brand have soul. It's making the struggle a part of the story. And one of the quotes I love from Phil Knight, he says, "The cowards never started. The weak died along the way. That leaves us." So who's left? It's the people that are willing to work through the obstacles, willing to make the struggle a part of the story, and never give up. The early years of Nike were messy. There were lawsuits, issues with supply chains, I think bankruptcy somewhere along the way. And it's like, those are some things that people would stop. The weak, they
Yeah.
die
Yep.
along the way.
Mhm.
And what's left, when you stick with it and you focus on that struggle is a part of the story, and that's okay, and that's normal, and we all have it, so being transparent about it, that's actually what makes us stronger, and that's what makes us believe in the brands even more. Like, what was the struggle? What was the perseverance? What was the lesson that they learned? What's that grit? Because think about masculine, feminine energy. Who do I wanna follow? What kind of men do I wanna surround myself with? Be it personal relationships, business relationships. I want men that are gonna work their ass off, protect the vision, set the tone and go for it. Like, I wanna believe that if hard shit happens, you're not gonna crumble. Because if I'm following you, like, I gotta know that I'm putting my time and energy into supporting something that when that tough stuff comes, you're not, like, cowarding away. Like, you're pushing harder, head down, like, "Nope, we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna figure out a way." And that's what Phil Knight did, and that's what makes Nike so much different than other brands because you do know that about his story.
Yeah, and that was one of the I didn't know that about his story until I read, Shoe Dog and how much he struggled, how many issues he had, all the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. But I haven't had a single entrepreneurship friend who has said that it was all smooth sailing, it was all easy. There were every single one of my friends who have built massive companies have said there were times where we were almost bankrupt. We were days away from not having money. We were days away from closing the doors. And that quote gives me, it gives me chills. It is the same thing in our field. It's the same thing when it comes to competition is that the weak are going to die along the way. That's just business. 99% of businesses fail after 5 years or after one it was 90% of businesses fail after 1 year, and then the rest of the 99% of businesses fail usually before 5 years. And so if you've got a business that's lasted more than 5 years, you're already part of the 1%. If you have a business who has done $1 million in just gross revenue, like top line revenue, you're part of the 1%. Most business owners in the United States make $43,000 a year. That's what most business owners make. That's like the average across the board. So if you've gotten anything more than that, you've gotten something that's bigger. But at the same time, those the biggest businesses have solved the biggest problems and they've also gone through the worst shit. I had a conversation with a good friend the other day and he asked, as you're growing and as improved, how do you deal with being a dad, a husband, running all the businesses at the same time? Because I feel like right now. I don't have all that, and I am buried, and, like, I don't know if I can handle this, like, right now. How did you handle it? And I simply told him that essentially, the more bullshit you can go through, the more times you can get screwed over in business, sued. And I'm not saying I'm looking for these things, but the more you can withstand, going through bad relationships when it comes to business, rough teammates that you've had to fire, lawsuits that you've had to deal with. And then on the family side, like not being there for certain things, arguments sometimes with your significant other. The more you can go through those things or handle those things, the more your knuckles harden. It's like kung fu masters, you know, hardening their bodies by getting whipped with bamboo shoots over and over and over and over and over again till the body and the mind just starts to get used to it and it goes away. That pain goes away, the feeling goes away. It's boxers boxing and hitting a heavy bag over and over and over until their knuckles are bloody and then they callus over. It's lifting weights until your hands are calloused, over and over and over again. The more that you're calloused, not as a attitude, but the more that your body is calloused and your mind is calloused from going through these struggles over and over and over, the more you're going to be able to deal with and the more you're going to be able to move forward, the more you're going to be able to handle and the more money you're going to make. And that's what I told him. The more bullshit you can go through and handle, the higher you will elevate yourself,
Mm.
not only in your company, but in your life. And as a result of that, in your income. The more you can be judged, the more you can put yourself out there and improve, the more times you lose, as long as you're always losing, the more times you lose, the more you're going to learn. And when you do that, when you pay an inordinate amount of dumb tax to level your brain up and to level your situation up and to level your business up, your struggle is going to inspire others and people are going to want to be a part of that. Have you ever seen Rocky?
Yes,
Okay.
but we've discussed on other podcasts that movies are, like, there for a hot second, and
Yeah.
then I remember nothing.
Okay, but you haven't watched like any fucking movies. So just being
I
said,
have watched
watching
Rocky.
Rocky means something because people love an underdog. Like
Yes,
people
yes.
love an underdog. They just do because that struggle is like them. I like watching Vaughn asked me the other day why you like watching anime so much. Is like what is it about it? And I told him it's because usually the protagonist starts with some sort of weak background story. They were a weakling as a child and they became a superhero, or they were like the biggest. They were a loser and nobody believed in them, or they lost every fight growing up, but they still wanted to fight for good and justice, and then they become special people. People love an underdog story. They gravitate to that. So if you have struggle as your story, put it in there. Don't make it everything you're about and say, woe is me, I went through this, but make it part of your story, make it part of your business, and realize that your struggle in business is no different than anybody else who has gotten through it.
Why do you think people hide it?
I think because they're embarrassed to show that they're losing at something because social media now is only filled with winners, only filled with winning. It's only filled with success and never any losses. Never any negative side of business. And then there's the opposite where people use the negative and everything that bad that's happening to them, and all they do is post about it and they cry about it and they're like, I'm being vulnerable. And it's like, no, you're being a little bitch. Like, I'm fucking tired of watching your reels where you just cry the whole time. Shut up. Everybody else sucks too. Just just get your ass up and do something about it. But I think that's a huge part of it is that people are embarrassed to show their losses when they don't realize, like, the rest of us are just are losing just as much, or we've lost way more than you. We just are growing way faster.
Mm.
Mhm. If you're listening and you're a medical entrepreneur and you own some sort of medical business or med spa business, you want to be in Dallas on November 14th at the Adolphus Hotel. We are holding a free event for our medical mastermind, Charismatics. We're going to dive into your businesses, help you remove roadblocks, help you scale. We're going to have some great speakers who have done it themselves and grown to multiple seven figures in business. Again, that is a free event. Go to conclave.joincharismatics.com. There'll also be a link below in the bio or in the description of this video. Click on it, register, and we'll see you there.
When I think about Nike and running, which is where this all started, I think about how I like to run, but it feels
Yeah,
like
I know.
runs take
So
a
stupid.
long time.
Yes, they do take a long time. What do you mean? Like,
Like it's a long, like
way to go, Captain Obvious.
getting settled even into like a 5K is like 40 minutes of running is
Yeah,
like a long time.
it is.
So you have to work through that mental challenge first. So you learn a lot about yourself when you run. And there's a runner's high that happens, which is probably why I like it. It's also one of the reasons I really enjoy running is it actually gives me a chance to clear my mind. I process through a lot of emotions and thoughts during that 40 minutes. And so, um, it's a time where I can't be on the phone. I'm not listening to anything else. Usually I just have music on and running to the beat. And so it's a time where I really connect with what's happening with me, but I think about the long game of the run. Like, there's just something about the run that feels like you're going for the long game, and that is something where you're pretty much competing with yourself. At least when I do 5Ks and stuff, and I'm pushing a stroller with a toddler in it, I'm not worried about winning the race at that point. I just wanna finish.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
But I think about Nike and I think about business,
mhm.
and Nike started with the running and how I feel about kind of the long game. A common thread that happens through these founder stories, and that we're talking about Phil Knight, you're talking about the 70s, it's like that was before you were even born. Um, so it's the long game, and it's recognizing that when you stick with something, you will be good. You just talked about how many people fall off in the first 5 years. These brands, Nike, they didn't stop in the first 5 years. That's when the hard shit was happening, and they pushed through, and they kept going, and they played the long game, and it's more about the spirit of finishing the marathon. I've not run a marathon. I don't know if I ever will, because that feels excruciating in my head. 26.2 miles is like, okay, I'm just trying to finish 3.1. Okay. But it's like it's the marathon. It's the that consistency of sticking with something, even when the mind is like, you should walk or you need a drink or
Mm.
whatever that is. It's like sticking with the spirit of finishing the race. And maybe there's no end in sight with that because your goals keep stretching and everything keeps going. But
Yeah,
like you said, when you have soul and you have impact as your mission, there's never a finish line.
yeah,
So recognizing that it's a marathon, Nike was 20 years before Nike became a household name. 20 years is a long time
yep.
to stick with something when it's hard, just because you have the vision that it can get there. And I like his mindset. This goes back to kind of his humility in it, but also competition. His mindset is play by the rules, but be ferocious in the process.
Mhm.
Like, play by the rules, but do it with all your heart is what I hear
Yeah.
with that. And, it's a mindset that not every entrepreneur has. How do you, for the people listening and even for yourself, how do you stay patient when you feel like the competition and everyone else seems to be winning,
Yeah.
let's say on social media, because that's what you see, and you feel like you're just getting hit over and over and over again?
Yeah.
How do you stay focused on the finish line.
Well, you don't stay patient for sure. Like patience comes, it's forced patience, really. You're still doing everything that you possibly can. You know, and I had a mentor call it, you know, aggressive patience, where you are aggressively trying to improve your business, grow your business, expand your business, but you're also being patient in terms of knowing that what you're trying to do is not going to happen today, not going to happen overnight, even a week or a year from now, it may not happen, but compounded over time, it's going to happen. And really, that's the mindset every entrepreneur needs, is that you're playing the long game. And I've gotten into this issue because Genesis has grown, my businesses have grown very well over the past just 6 years. And you have one down year or a down month or a couple or a down quarter, and you're like, fuck, this is it. This is the end. This is I'm not as good as everybody else. And then you look at my mentor Andy, and he's been in business 20 plus years now. I think almost 25 years that he's or more that first form or his businesses have been around. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in year 6. Damn, I can't imagine the type of shit I will have to go through for the next 19 years to get to the same amount of time in business as he has. Warren Buffett was in business for 40, 50 years. I think 60 years now. He's 80 something years old. Um, Phil Knight, like you said, was in it for 20 years before they even got their big break, before they even really grew to become a household name. And it just compounded from there. And it's exactly that. It's compounding, where people aren't going to know who you are. They're not going to listen to you. They're not going to gravitate you. They're not going to listen to the podcast. They're not going to follow you on social media. They're not going to come to your business. But if you keep doing the same things every single day, putting out good content, putting out solving people's problems, it will compound to the point where more and more people start to come your way. And then at some point, just like compounding when it comes to business and investments and stuff like that, at some point the scales will tip and the hockey stick will start flying up. In business, it's like a hockey stick. You're flat. You have so it's like a hockey stick, where you have the long flat part on the, horizontal on the table, and then you have the actual end of it sticking up. And it's like that in business. This long ass flat part is the beginning part of business, is the beginning part of your culture, is the beginning part of what you're building, where it's going to be like that for a very, very long time. You know, Way longer than this short, fast growth is going to be. And you're going to be struggling for a very, very long time, because that hockey stick is not just flat, it's up and down and up and down and up and down, you know, to the point where you actually gain some momentum and grow. But then it's like a hockey stick, and you're going to shoot up and you're going to grow, and more people are going to come to you, and you're going to get great referrals, and you're going to have more people wanting to jump on your team. But you got to realize that the people who do the most in life, who make the most money, who have the most impact, they stay where they are in terms of their loyalty and their business, but they pour themselves into it. They pour themselves into it, and they grow in their income, and they grow in their opportunities, and it's going to take time. I mean, there are people in our group that have been in for 3 years and 5 years and 7 years and 10 years, and we're continuing to grow up and up and up. And we're just starting this long race. I mean, we're just at 6 years of Brent and I running Genesis together. 15 years with just Brent. I mean, that's a long time. 15 years he's been at it. 15 years. And so continuously reminding yourself of that is that you're playing the long game as fast as you possibly can. That's the long race. That's winning the long race, focusing on the long race.
I love that aggressive patience.
Mhm.
It's active patience.
Exactly what it is.
It's not passive.
Exactly what it is.
That's so good. Is there an area in business, as we kinda come to a close, on this conversation. Is there an area in business that you have chosen endurance over excitement? And
Mm.
how has that been good for you?
I think that's now every part of the business, every business that we do, everything that we create, we're creating something and trying to develop something that's going to be scalable first to a very large scale from day one. And then realizing that it takes more time to mature than what you originally felt. And again, we're not sitting back on our hands and saying, okay, well, we'll just let this thing mature. We're still pushing forward, but just realizing that that's going to take longer than you thought it was going to take. And that's really every business now. That's what every great entrepreneur thinks is that, hey, I'm gonna attack this, even the wealthy ones and that have massive business. Hey, I'm gonna attack this. We're gonna put all our might into it. But at the same time, it's still gonna take weeks, months, years for it to roll into what I want it to become or grow into what I want it to become. So that you always have to start with the end in mind. If you want to, or you should always build your business like you're going to sell it. Because whether you sell it or not, the whole reason for building a business is being able to have more impact, and probably as a business owner and the people who are listening to this is have more freedom. And you can't have more impact and you can't have more freedom if you don't work your ass off and you do every job in your business and you live your mission and at the same time make your struggle part of your story and in the end realize that this is a long race. There's going to be times where you make lots of money, there's going to be times when you make no money, and it's going to be up and down until the business is big enough to explode and grow and hockey stick up.
Yeah, totally. And from a personal standpoint, I think about the excitement over endurance. So I love adventure. I love excitement. If something is shiny and exciting, I'm like, sign me up. I want to be there. My whole career has been like that. I just it's like I love adventure. And that's interesting actually. I had a dream last night. This is funny that you and Brent gifted me, just putting it out there,
Mm,
gifted me a trip to somewhere in Canada that was like this cabin, cool adventure experience. I don't know why I was thinking that's interesting. I didn't think about it again until just now.
okay.
But adventure, I even dream of adventures,
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
That's how much I
To
love
Canada?
yeah, but it was
If we
like a
send you to
ski
Canada, it's because we don't
resort.
want you to come back.
It was like a ski resort, like, there was, like, moose and, like,
Okay.
all the, like
There
it
was like
was
a
like
moose there?
it was it was
Talking
like all
moose?
this, like I don't know, dreams don't
Yeah, yeah.
always make sense,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
It's
anyway,
okay.
so
That's I get it.
somewhere maybe more like Alaska, maybe it wasn't Canada, but
Yeah.
anyway, I remember looking on the map and thinking, "That's so close to Alaska," so that part was in my dream, but anyway, um, that's pretty funny. So, I think about that with now heading up different initiatives that we have, Life PRP, launching Stature, being a part of Genesis. My time, it needs to be utilized for things that are going to move the needle. And the old Amanda, new in business, anything exciting, I was like, yep, I'm going to do it. And I think social media is a part of that too, because people are always posting like the cool thing that they're doing. But I had a girlfriend reach out to me and her boyfriend was speaking at the Aspire conference. And it's a big conference and she's like, he's gonna gift you, fly you in so we can spend the weekend together. And she had this like it sounded fantastic. It was a very exciting pitch, okay? Because she wanted me to come spend the week with her and like rub elbows with all the speakers and stuff. And it overlapped with a mastermind meetup that was happening in Dallas that only happens once a quarter. Now, rub elbows with famous people, well-known names, people, whatever, successful people for a weekend, all expenses paid, or hang out in Dallas with a group of women like myself trying to build business. And one was very exciting, while the other one was also exciting, was not as flashy.
Yeah.
And I decided not to go to the Aspire conference. And I stayed in Dallas and I met these women because my goal is to connect with the community, to meet women here, to start to build a network like what I had for 17 years in Vegas. I knew everybody. It was like, and I think about the goals that we have with life PRP and stature. It's like which one is going to be the thing that really makes a difference long term? Yeah, that's fun. I'll post about it on social media. People be like, "Oh my god, it's so cool." But where are the relationships happening? Okay, I might get to say hi to Gary Vee, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make a difference in my business. What does it mean for me right now? And, it's interesting because I think as you get further along in the journey, you start to look at things like that too, and you go, "Okay, yeah, that sounds exciting, but I've done a lot of exciting stuff in my life, and it hasn't necessarily equated to me making any more money." So, if what I want is more money, more time, more freedom, what are the things that align with that journey, that path, that endurance? And it's playing the long game,
Yeah.
running the marathon. So, and I'm really grateful I did because actually meeting those women introduced me to some other people, which aligned me with some other things happening. And so it actually, long term ended up being a really, I think, a very strategic, smart move,
Yeah.
going for endurance over excitement.
Yeah, and
It's just
that's
a
that's
personal note there.
that's the problem that entrepreneurs and I think people in general do is that they think that it's going to make a huge difference if they go to these events and they hang out with people like that. Um, I tell you, like I have tons of friends who hang out with people like that. I've been around tons of people like that. Like those people suck. They fucking suck. They just do. They're super into themselves. They haven't built most of the time real businesses. They haven't done anything real. They're like all those people who you think are killing it on stage. They're not. They're not because I know they're not. you know, because I'm friends with some of them. And but that being said, is I tell Steph all the time, like I don't want to go to dinner with those people. I don't want to go out to lunch with those people. Like we've got nothing in common. I don't wanna I have a finite amount of time. I have that time to spend working on the business or with my wife and kids or driving my cars. That's it. I don't have extra time to do other things. I wanna focus on things that create the most amount of impact for my life, my partners, and my businesses. That's what I wanna do. So I don't go out to dinner with people. I don't go to parties or events or anything like that. I rarely do because all I do is focus on my businesses, focus on what I'm trying to do, trying to improve upon that stuff. And that's what people don't understand. They think that doing all those things is going to make them money. It's not at all. At all. It won't. Unless you're going to you own a B2B business and you're going to a trade show where everybody's at and you have a booth set up and you can invite people to the booth and get people signed up for your company, you're not going to make money just going and hanging out with other entrepreneurs. 95% of the time, you're not. And that's why I'm not in masterminds anymore because I know what we have to do in Genesis. I know what we have to do in our medical companies. And I'm not a provider treating clients anymore. So if I go to a mastermind and it has all sorts of business owners in it, like they'll want me to be the doctor. Yes, they could go to my clinic and stuff like that, but that's not going to have the biggest impact going to a mastermind. There's 100 people and I talk to people and I get 5 clients that go to the clinic. That's not going to have impact on the business. What's going to have impact on the business is business meetings where we're doing strategic partnerships with Genesis that can affect and improve all 20 plus locations, 30 plus locations now to help grow the business, business to business owner, or for the B2B companies, meeting somebody who has a chain of 10 clinics that we can supply their goods for. That's 10 clinics overnight that I could partner with, not just a one off relationship. And yes, collaboration and meeting people are very, very important. The more people you know and the more people you're connected with, the more money you make. That's actually proven. I forgot which book I read that had the science of that, but that's been proven in data. Connectors of people will make more money. But entrepreneurs like the flashiness. We call them success zombies, where they go to event after event after event and they actually never implement anything and they don't protect their time. The wealthiest people, they say no to things. They say no to way more things than they say yes to. And there's still that guilt to say yes to all those things because your friend invited you or this person invited you or whatever. But at the same time, if it doesn't directly have an impact for your income, or again, there could be the part where, yes, it has an impact on your life and your mental well being. And if you've been holed up for months, you got to see people. Cool. I'm not talking about that. But if it, for the most part, your decisions should focus on how you can improve yourself or how you can improve your connections to help your business grow. They just should.
Yeah, I love it. Phil Knight built Nike from his belief. And that's what we're talking about. You got to believe in it. You have to be audacious in your dreams, even if you feel like you're going to look ridiculous along the way to everyone else, regardless of what's happening. You stick with it and you recognize there's no perfect plan. It looks different for everyone at every stage. Get wisdom, get insight from people like we're talking about founders, learning from founders, do all of that. But recognizing that your purpose is about you enduring the process to success, that's where real winning happens. And that's where you beat your competition like Nike. You just going back to what you said earlier. Just do it. Do it, stick with it, keep doing it over and over and over again. And
Exactly.
eventually you'll win.
Yep. Phil didn't start with billions. He didn't have silver spoon in his mouth. He was just a kid selling shoes from the trunk. So stop waiting for funding. Stop waiting for validation, perfection. If you guys need some sort of permission to build what you want, to be what you want to be, you have my permission. Go do it. No matter what.
And they
Like,
didn't even have to pay you
didn't have to pay
$20,000
me
for that.
$20,000 for that. Man, I should have saved that. Dang it. I lost money there. So find your mission, find your people. When the path gets rough, remember, look, Phil Knight saying, "The cowards never started, the weak died along the way." And that leaves us. So thanks for listening, guys.